Ron Trent. I am from Ontario, Canada, and this is my story from Cambridge, Ontario. I was a millionaire at one time, and I went broke. And what happened, my wife happened to be Catholic, and I wasn't. My mother had passed away 6 months earlier. And what happened is my wife was at church, and I was at home. And all of a sudden, I heard my mother's voice saying, "Ron, pray for me." I instinctively put my hand into a pile of paper, pulled out a piece of paper, and it was about Medjugorje, which is in Kosovo, and the breakdown of the Yugoslav Republic. And this happened in the early 1900s. And what happened, I had this sudden desire to go to Medjugorje. And in my company, which was an industrial scientific glass company, with my brother, we were, as I say, going broke. And I had this opportunity to go to the Czech Republic, which just came out of communism. So I flew over to the Czech Republic, and I asked them if I could be their distributor for North America. And what happened is, they said, well, Corning, Schott, and Kimball, which were the three biggest companies in the world, had already been to them asking them for it. So I said, okay, fine. And I left, and I went down through to Vienna, and from Vienna I flew to Sarajevo, which was completely destroyed. And it was, at that time, the UN was in there with checkpoints. And I drove from Sarajevo, I drove up to Medjugorje, where I stayed for 3 days. And in Medjugorje, I met a person who knew Ivan, one of the seers in Medjugorje. And then he said, well, would you like to come to one of the seances that Ivan has? And he has a private one. So I went to, said, yes, sure, that'll be fine. We went up Cross Mountain. I felt very strange. As a matter of fact, I started to cry on the 10th station going up Cross Mountain. We came down, and we went to the nun's residence at 5 o'clock in the evening, where Ivan was, and he asked permission if I could come in while he was getting his vision. And Ivan said, yes, you can come in. So I went in, and we were saying the rosary, and all of a sudden, he crashed down on his knees, and he got his vision from the Blessed Mother Mary. We were all quiet, and all of a sudden, I heard the Blessed Mother Mary's voice speaking to me. And she said something to me. I can't say what it is, but it was between me and the Blessed Mother Mary. At that point, I was completely dumbfounded. So when I went to down, and I went to a confessional at the church, and it was an old Scottish priest, and I told him what had happened, and he says, well, I guess the Blessed Mother Mary wants you. And I said, yes, and I'll become a Catholic. As of this instant, I'll become Catholic. I used to be Anglican, and I became Catholic at that point. And I converted over into Catholicism. And then I flew from there to Germany, and I met the Czech people in Germany. And in Germany, they call it the Akema, which is a chemical show. And I met the people at Czech Republic, and they said, we'll give you the contract for North America. I was dumbfounded. Blessed Mother Mary gave me that. I went back to Canada, and of course, the company thrived after that, and many things happened that I could go on, but it has thrived, and it is thriving to this very day. Since then, my wife passed away, and she was a very devoted Catholic. Matter of fact, I think she was going to become a nun before I married her, and unfortunately I married her and she didn't become a nun. So what happened is she was dying of cancer, and I put the scapular around her head, and as she died, a smile came on her face. The Blessed Mother Mary promises people who wear scapulars will see the Blessed Mother Mary when you're passing. And she did. She passed very calmly, quietly, without pain. And a lot of people were amazed that she didn't have pain. After that, I had a tremendous amount of pain and suffering. And I had an operation which was very painful. And I was so down, I went to church and I asked the Father if he would give me my last rites. He said, "How did you get here?" I looked terrible. And I said, "I don't remember how I even got here." So what happened is I went, the Father gave me a blessing. He had 2 people drive me home. I went home and I was crying because I was in so much pain. And I was going to commit suicide. I got up and I walked towards the kitchen to get a knife to commit suicide. Knock on the door came. My son came in with my two little grandchildren. "Oh, Grandpa, I love you," and they came and surrounded me. I was dumbfounded. Then what happened after that? My son said, "Well, you can go to this, I forget what they call them. It's not a doctor, it's, I forget the name anyhow." I went to him, and this chap up in Waterloo, and he said, "I can get your pain relieved by Christmas." And this was middle of November. So I went, and he got me relieved of my pain through acupuncture and pills and so on. And I was pain-free basically at Christmas. And then what happened on the first day of January, which is our Blessed Mother Mary's Day, I was praying the rosary in bed, and my wife, Kathy, appeared before me. And she said, "Ron, Ron, Ron." And all of a sudden she was gone. She was happy, smile, beautiful face, brilliant whiteness around her. And I said, "Kathy, Kathy." And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it meant. So I went to the church, and the Father said at church that I was one of the fortunate ones, that my wife Kathy was permitted to appear before me to show me that she was happy. I was completely dumbfounded, and I prayed more. And that was the change of my life. From a person who didn't pray, didn't go to church, turned around, became Catholic, and then all of a sudden I am praying so much that it's amazing the amount of prayers, and some of them even come to me, the prayers. And I feel connected through Mary now to Jesus, and Jesus, through suffering I've had, and everyone has to suffer in this world, from Jesus he brings me to the Father through the Holy Spirit. And because of that, I am truly Catholic, and I pray, and now that I'm fully retired, I pray a great deal, and that is the main key, praying and going to church for the Eucharist. And that's my U-turn that I had in my life, and I wish to give it to people that, yes, no matter what you get into in problems, you can turn to Mary, our Blessed Lord, through the Holy Spirit, and they will help you. There's a reason for everything that happens to us. They are the ones in charge. We get these little things that happen to us. It's big to me, but I'm just a small piece in a big puzzle in this whole world. And that is the main key, is prayer, going to the Eucharist, and praying to the Blessed Mother Mary, through the Holy Spirit, to the Jesus Christ. And Jesus takes those whom he wants from there to God the Father, who created everything. And now I am very happy, and I've been very fortunate in my retirement, 5-minute walk from the church. I own my own home. I'm very pleasant with what I have, and I've gone to many sites. The Holy Love site here in southwest of Cleveland, it's a very powerful site. I've been to Medjugorje, of course, which turned me into Catholic. I've been to Fatima, which I am a very student of Fatima. And from there, of course, I go to Lourdes, which has been there for years. And I get these messages from them every month and every day, and I read them thoroughly, and I pray. And I pray for all people, and I hope and pray that this little story of mine hits the heart of someone in this world, and if I can get 1 or 2 people to come to the Eucharist, to come to the Holy Roman Catholic Church, pray to the Blessed Mother Mary, through the Holy Spirit to Jesus Christ, and Jesus will take it from there. He's the big picture. I am but the little pea in the pond.
I'm pleased to introduce Shalom World, a new 24/7 dynamic, family-friendly Catholic television channel. This new English language channel is from Shalom Media, a Catholic media ministry that has made great contributions to the church in the past 10 years. I invite you to join me in praying that Shalom World television channel will be a strong voice of the Catholic Church in proclaiming the gospel of Christ to our world today.
Shalom World, God's own channel.